What do you do to get Khalil going again, kind of getting back to how he was against Colorado as opposed to the last couple weeks?
Um, well, it's called practice and study, right? And then ultimately it's performance. So, you know, um, what you do during the week, we try to simulate certain situations and different things. But ultimately, you know, this life pays off on results, right? And so, you know, at the moment of truth, just like DBs, and you can be in coverage, but when the ball's there, you either play it or you don't. And in those situations, you either get rid of the ball or you don't. And so, you know, that's practice and simulation's one thing, but performance on Saturday is another.
You learned throughout your career. I know you said on Saturday night this is not a controversy, but obviously you can't create the aura of what's happening outside your program and how people look at it. But what have you learned throughout your career about how you handle the communication with the two kids in regards to what's
We've communicated the whole year. So, you know, it was, I said pretty simply Saturday night what happened, right? So, and I think it's important that just what I said Saturday night was that it wasn't all on the quarterbacks, right? We had pressure, we had different things happening. So, yeah, we communicate daily. You know, it's different today because today's, as I said last week, just like every week, we don't practice on Sunday. And, you know, Sunday's a player's day off. It's a mandatory. You have to have one day off during the week with NCAA rules. So, you know, our communication really starts. They've got class this morning, and it really starts this afternoon. When you ask me about injuries or ask me about where people are, I'm not joking about that or being coy, that, you know, you have a better feel about everything Monday afternoon because of, you know, our meetings basically start around 3:30 in the afternoon, and that communication and practice tonight. So we're communicating all the time.
What have you seen on tape as far as handling the blitzes, especially the ones off the slot?
Yeah, you know, there's a couple different things, right? You know, there's really 4 different ways that you can handle it. You know, you can protect it, and as we add blockers, you know, what's become obvious is people are adding on with what is termed add-on blitzes. So whether it's a tight end or a running back, we get him involved in the protection, then the person who's covering him, once he starts blocking, then he comes. So they're going to add one more. And then, you know, and then I think you saw later in the game where they just didn't cover him and we released them hot. And everybody's got to be on the same page to throw the ball hot to a running back or a shallow crossing route that's running away from the blitz. And so, you know, we weren't consistent there. And then there was, as I said, which was I confirmed, there was at least 2 or 3 times where we just flat turned the guy loose, right, which was a protection bust by our offensive line. So there are a number of ways to combat those things besides, you know, the obvious screen draw, get on the perimeter, do some things which we do with the ball pretty well, but, you know, to be consistent in what we're doing. You know, the idea is just not to add another blocker is not just the answer.
when you have a tackle who's got 2 guys blitzing from the same side, one on his outside, one on his inside, is there a better guy for him to take or to
Yes.
take? Which one?
The closest one. The closest one to the quarterback. The guy who's going to get there quicker, right? And I think you saw that we had some problems with that just because what they showed and how we reacted to that. There's at least 2 or 3 times I can think right now off the top of my head that we flat busted, and the tackle did not do what he was supposed to do.
As far as the scheme and the game plan and those things, are you satisfied with the mix that you've had the last couple of weeks, or do you feel like you need to?
No, I mean, anytime that, you know, you're not able to move it the way we've been moving it all year, you know, you're frustrated. But, you know, things don't change, you know, from a top 5, 10 offensive team in the country in a week or a week or two. So, you know, we've got to be able to continue to run the ball. We've got to be able to make plays down the field, and we got to stay on schedule. And I think, you know, as much as I harp on third down percentage, which is a big deal, you know, to me, the difference in the last couple of weeks has been really first down, right? To get on schedule instead of it being second and long. You know, our penalties, we've cut down our penalties. I think we would have had 5 Saturday night. So, you know, the negative yardage plays were basically on plays, not mistakes. Does that make sense? You know, instead of it being, hey, we got 8, 9, 10 penalties, we're jumping off sides, now it's 2nd and 2nd and 15. Our negative yardage plays, our second down situations were lack of execution. And that's what put us in. And that was a heavy blitz down for USC Saturday night.
What have you seen out of Stanford?
You know, it's a you know, you had 2 teams that are coming off 2, you know, frustrating losses, right? And yeah, the other night it was a Thursday night game, so I was able to watch a bunch of it. You know, it's tough. They're on their 3rd quarterback, right? And from my understanding, they had 6 healthy offensive linemen coming into the game. And, you know, the lack of depth, some new guys in there, it had some struggles. So, you know, it's going to be the team that can get off the mat quickest this week. You know, but as I said Saturday night, injuries are not an excuse. We're not going to use that as an excuse in our front anywhere on this team. So, because it's football, and you know, you get the game 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, that's everybody's like that. So it's going to be the team that can handle the situation, get off the mat, get prepared, and get to the game and be ready to put things behind them from the last week and play like you're capable of playing.
That said, what has not having Bam and Gary, how would you categorize how that's hamstrung your offense?
A little bit. But hey, you know what? We played. We're not. I mean, that's just it. You know, it's football. You know, you could have said that 4 weeks ago when we didn't have JJ, right? So those guys have played well, and you know, we haven't had. I think we've had all 5 of them for what, 2 games? Bam didn't play in the first game. So, you know, JJ was done really after the 2nd or 3rd game for a month. So, you know, we haven't had all 5 but maybe for, and obviously you saw JJ limping around last Saturday night. A couple times he had to come out of the game, you know, and we thought he was pretty healthy. He's you know, his communication's been great. As I said, we wanted to get him up in the 20s. With touches, whether that's passes or handoffs, you know, then you add kickoff return. So, you know, just to get him in the 20s and touches with the football, and we were able to do that. But, you know, he had left the game a couple times, you know, limping early in the first half. So he's not 100%, but he's playing his tail off and giving us everything he's got. But, yeah, to your point, we haven't had all 5 except for maybe 2 of the 6 games.
That said, what's the next step Nathan has to take? Because we've seen a lot of him, but it seems like he's still kind of holding on to him a little bit.
What do you mean?
Just maybe not pushing him out into that forefront role, or maybe even that true number 2 role behind JJ.
Well, I mean, we've been pretty successful with the guys that we're playing too. He's been successful. So, you know, there's only one football. So we got 5 running backs. And that's where it is. He's a different guy. I mean, he's a different back than what we had, and I think you've seen us utilize him in different short yardage situations. He's been a real spark at different points of the game, and he has continued to improve from where he was last year. You know, he is a guy that last year, you know, there were some issues in protection. some issues in him picking up some things schematically. But he's really worked at it in the offseason, and I think DeMarco's done a nice job with him this season because, we've got plenty of confidence in Nate. But as I said, there's only one football, and all those guys can play.
Jamari Joyner's had some really great moments so far this season. He's also had some moments where he looked like a freshman. How would you assess his progress?
You just assessed it right there, right? Not only does he look like a freshman, he looks like a guy who's played receiver for 5 months. Okay, so that's you assessed it. You see exactly what it is. I mean, here's a guy who moved to the position in the summer, right? Really came through camp, has played 7 games there. Didn't play that position in high school, and like you said, he's had flashes of he's done some really, really good things. He's dropped some balls. He's run some, some really great routes. He's run some bad ones. So your assessment was, you didn't need a question at the end. It's what it was.
So what does the future hold?
Where
do you see him going?
He's a freshman. I mean, he's getting better. I mean, he's made big plays for us, right? And so, at this time of year, just like anything else, guys start to look like veterans. We forget, though, the guy, not only is he a freshman, it's not just a freshman that's come into a program. He's a freshman that's played the position for 5 months. So you would think that with his talent level, his size, and him to keep working at it, I mean, the sky's the limit for the guy. Because he's just now getting going with 7 games at that position and really, 4 or 5 months. So, you would think he's only going to continue to improve.
On the pass play with Jamari, was it there if he maybe thrown it a little bit sooner?
On what pass play?
The pass play early in the game with Jamari, where you guys threw it to him and you
The
threw
one
it
that
down.
Jamari threw.
Yeah, when Jamari threw it. Was the play there if he had thrown it a little bit
You need
sooner?
to watch the end of it and see what happened to the receiver. That's all I can say.
Did you think he was interfered with?
Just watch it and see what happened to the receiver.
What can you say about the?
That's all I can say about it. But it's blatantly obvious, as it was when there was we have a player turned around 180 degrees with in the middle of the hole, with people looking right at it.
Do you send those? I mean, do you inquire
Yes.
to the league about? Yeah.
Yes.
What
And
can
that
you
was a
say-
big play early in the game, with momentum play, because we'd just gone 3 and out on defense. We ran 2 plays, got a first down, came up with the really a trick play, which put us at 2nd and 10 instead of across midfield, either with the catch or with the infraction.
What have you been seeing from the defense these last 2 games, being put so much behind the 8 ball early on and holding to field goals and performance? Is that about the best that you could have expected from the unit?
Yeah, I think you just assessed it. You guys are asking, telling me things and asking
Well, are you
questions
concerned
today.
in any way that that there could be frustration that they're
I'm
being put in that position?
everybody's frustrated, right? So all you can do is keep playing. It's not just the offense, right? We gave them a short field and we had a long field. It's special teams. It's everything. You have to put things together early in a game. Our defense, you look at the scores, and people who don't watch the game will say, well 51, 41. What's going on there? Our defense the last 2 weeks in the first half has played good enough for us to win, and we need to. I mean, we started slow. We need to be better, being able to move the ball offensively, if not scoring, but playing a field position game like we did early in the year. So all that works together. Our offense, we want to score every time, but we also need to get the ball out to midfield if we're going to punt it. And then when we punt it, we need to be effective in our punting game instead of us not moving the ball, us punting the ball 30 yards, and then giving the other team the ball at midfield. Our defense is, the first part of the game, and even a turnover, you had turnovers of that, right? I don't know what else they could have done in the first half.
As far as the punting goes, is there still a weekly competition?
Yeah.
And Matt's just been the one that's come out on top?
Yeah, we wouldn't put
No, just confirming.
Yeah, that's why it's a competition, right? With the Blues are the competition, we're not sending out there.
Are you seeing, as far as Matt's kicking in the game, are you seeing something different in the game than maybe what you're seeing in practice? Does he look like he's
No.
maybe nervous or?
I don't, no, not much. I just think right now both of them are struggling. And so, you know, you got both guys are first-year guys, right? And, you know, there's a reason why he wasn't, you know, last year. Just both guys are struggling. You got a true freshman, you got an older guy. And consistency is with the young guy. Consistency, he'll hit one or two, great, and then you know the next one will be it'll be bad. So, you know, at least I think we know what we're getting with Matt. It's just not where we want it to be right now.
How would you describe the talks that you have with Khalil?
What's that?
How would you describe the talks that you have with
I don't know,
Khalil?
what do you mean describe?
In terms of his
You want to know what we
response?
talk about?
Well, I mean,
Is that what it is?
kind
No,
of.
we talk about all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of things that you bring up in here, a lot of the things that have nothing to do with football we talk about, a lot of things that have everything to do with football we talk about. So progress, goals, leadership, body language. You want me to keep going? We talk about that, all kinds of stuff, and it's not just him. It's all the players.
Have you talked to him since you pulled him out of the game last week as far
I mean, on
as
the
how to handle
sideline,
that?
a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. We just told him to stay ready and, you know, and get going and stay warm. He was into the game. He's in the huddles on the sideline, on defense and everything else. So, yeah, like I said, we have, you know, we just didn't pull him out of the game and not say anything to him.
Right.
Right. So, you know, he knew there was a possibility, you know, based on where we were in that game, that he was going to come back and play. So, yeah, that conversation was had. But as I said Saturday night, as things started to unfold and get out of hand, with Grant, we decided just to leave him in there and let him get some great experience.
As we head into this week, what kind of response are you hoping to get out of Khalil in
Well,
that situation?
Well, first of all, I think the first thing I'm hoping to get a response is out of our team. Does that make sense? Right? Everybody's making this the situation. We just lost a game on the road, right? 41-14. So the first thing I have to do is get a response out of our football team. That's where we are. Then individual players we deal with from there. Right? So, you know, that's what the emphasis is today at 3:30 in a team meeting is here's where we are, here's where we want to go, and how are we going to do that? And that's really the main emphasis today. The individual, and it's more than a quarterback, right? We've got, as I said Saturday night, we had protection issues, we had some route issues, some blown assignments. So there's more than just the quarterbacks need to be addressed, and we'll do that, and we'll have those conversations with guys that may or may have not played as well as they have in the past.
One more question for Coach.
With the Stanford QB situation kind of being up in the air, do you prepare more for their scheme than any one specific player?
I mean, it's they haven't changed very much over the years, right? I mean, we're gonna get a heavy dose of tight ends all over the place. We're gonna get a heavy dose of downhill runs, whether it's power, you know, and some play action, deep balls, and things like that. So, you know, Stanford, David's done this a long time, and they're going to do what they do, and they do it very well. And so, you know, for us, obviously we're going to have to be efficient with the ball offensively because of, you know, they're a possession football team on offense, so they cut down the number of possessions you have by keeping the ball. So we have to be efficient offensively. Turnovers would be a big deal, and again, field position. So all the things that we haven't done well the last 2 weeks, in the last two games, for us to be successful this week, we got to get that cleaned up. You know, we can't just give away the ball, turn the ball over. We got to be able to stay on the field and make some first downs offensively and give them long fields and you know and stop the deep ball. So, you know, the things that we haven't done very well the last 2 weeks, we better get that together this week, or it's going to be the same result.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.